At 5:30, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to begin by asking that we all rise for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First off, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. Item 3.12 has been replaced. See attachment 23-24, General Fund Budget Reorganization Sheet. And the next item is we're going to pull item 3.30 from the agenda regarding policy KIB for additional study. So item 312 has been replaced with the attachment, and item 330 will be pulled from the agenda. Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda is board discussion or action concerning prospective litigation.
Mr. President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss the pending litigation in the matter of Eva Mae Edmond versus Sandra C. Martin et al., docket number C-20222157E, 15th Judicial District Court, Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or question from members of the audience, members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. I'll call for a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Going into executive session.
Mr. President, I move that the board return to regular session.
Motion second that we return to regular session. Any comments, members of the audience, members of the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're now back in regular session.
Mr. President, I move that the board accept the advice of counsel in the pending litigation in the matter of Eva Mae Edmond versus Sandra C. Martin et al., docket number C-2022-2157E, 15th Judicial District Court, Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or from members of the public? Members of the board? If not, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. 2.2, board discussion or action concerning pending litigation in the matter of Eva Mae Edmond. You did both of them? I'm sorry. I stand corrected. We'll move on to the consent agenda, item 3.1. Please indicate which items you'd like pulled. Keep in mind we have a long agenda. All right, item 3.1, discussion or action concerning the designation of the Performing Arts Auditorium in the new Lafayette High School as Scotty Walker Performing Arts Hall.
Pull that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Centeni.
Number 2 as well.
3.2, discussion or action concerning Lafayette High School baseball field as Sam Tully Field. Want to pull that one too?
Yes, sir.
Pull it. 3.3, discussion or action concerning safety initiative, school board resource office program. 3.4, discussion and or action concerning recommendation of a voluntary benefits and administrative service provider.
I'll pull that one.
3.5, discussion or action concerning potential sale or lease of approximately 6 acres of land to the Lafayette Parish Council or the Lafayette Parish Library Board of Control. Three point six, discussion or action concerning resolution 6-23-2069, creation of Southside School District of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana.
Pull that, please.
3.7, discussion or action concerning the announcement of the calling of an election to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds in the Southside School District of the Parish of Lafayette.
Pull that, please.
3.8, discussion or action concerning the rezoning of a portion of the Carencro. I think we want to drop this item, Dr. Chasson? All right, okay. We'll pull 3.8. 3.9, discussion or action concerning budget revision to the Capital Improvements Fund. 3.10, discussion or action concerning an early obligation release of redesign 1003A grant funds. 3.11, discussion or action concerning the 2023-2024 pupil progression plan. 3.12, employee service, the discussion or action concerning a proposed plan of reorganization of staff and changes in job description related thereto. 3.13, discussion or action concerning the teacher support coach job description. 3.14, discussion or action concerning the new lead social worker and school social worker job description. 3.15, discussion or action concerning the elimination of executive master teacher in the district academic intervention department. 3.16, discussion or action concerning the child care resource and referral early learning master coach. 3.17, discussion and or action concerning the principal job description. 3.18, discussion or action concerning the 2023-2024 staff allocation formulas and guidelines booklet. 3.19, employee services, discussion or action concerning an update to the Director of Early Childhood job description. 3.20, discussion or action concerning the 2023-2024 salary schedule. 3.21, discussion or action concerning the declaration of surplus property at Prairie Elementary. 3.22, discussion or action concerning budget revision to self-funded construction fund. 3.23, discussion or action concerning approval of elevator maintenance and repair contract. 3.24, discussion and or action concerning budget to actual for May 2023. 3.25, discussion or action concerning an amendment to the fiscal agent contract.
Pull that one, please.
Three 26, discussion or action concerning approval an act of dedication of servitudes for the Karen Crow Bob Lilly Elementary Replacement School. 3.27, discussion or action concerning Phase 2 early release package GMP for the new replacement Lafayette High School. 3.28, discussion or action concerning additional compensation for school bus owners, operators. 3.29, discussion or action concerning revisions to policy GAMJA, accommodations for breastfeeding mothers as attached to the public content section. 3.30, discussion or action concerning revisions to policy KIB, advertising in the schools.
Mr. Orange.
3.30, we removed it. 3.31, discussion or action concerning revisions to policy JBCC, student assignment. 3.32, discussion or action concerning online auction of surplus equipment and supplies. 3.33, discussion or action concerning approval of the minutes of the May 10th, 2023 meeting.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve all items not pulled.
We have a motion and a second that we approve all items not pulled. Any questions or comments from members of the audience? From members of the board? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, President Angel. I just want to commend Jennifer Gardner on 3.3, the school resource officer revisions and contracts. She put a lot of effort into that, and I just really appreciate it, as well as the school bus operator pay. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yes, sir, Mr. Centeni.
And I think we don't have any of our architects here tonight for Lafayette High, but I just wanted to make a comment about the Lafayette High Library. There were some slight changes made to the design where there will be some in-cap walls to make it not as open of a space, but the feedback that we got was very helpful in coming to a resolution on that.
Mr. Liu, I want to make a comment relative to your comment. Working hard is nothing new for her.
That's right.
All right, we'll move on to the items that we pulled then. I'm sorry. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Why are they voting like that?
I don't know. I guess it's
All right.
too slow.
Okay, we could do, yeah.
3.3, discussion or action concerning the designation of the Performing Arts Auditorium in the new Lafayette High School as Scotty Walker Performing Arts Hall.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that the board approves designating the Performing Arts Auditorium in the new Lafayette High School as Scotty Walker Performing Arts Hall.
And we have a second by Mr. Latchley. Any questions or comments from members of the audience? Members of the board? Yes, sir.
I just want to say that when I was elected in 2015, I mentioned this at his retirement party on Saturday night, that I very quickly learned the incredible program that Scotty, and I know Mr. Mouton, it looks like I'm staring at you, but he's sitting right behind you. I quickly learned the quality program that Mr. Walker ran at Lafayette High and what a jewel it was for the Lafayette Parish school system, and just the excellence that he demanded from his students. And you could see it in the room on Saturday night when band members from Lafayette High School for the last 25 years went to the UL ballroom in the student union to celebrate his career. And I'm so thankful that you were able to spend and chose to spend your education years at Lafayette High School, and for all the hundreds and thousands of students that you impacted along the way. Please accept my heartfelt appreciation, and I hope to see you running around the neighborhood more now that you're retired.
Any other? Yes, sir, Dr. Chesso.
So sometime around 1994, I'm in the middle school band at Paulboro, and it was understood, I guess at the time, well, if you could manage to go through Miss Robin and Mr. Robin at Como High School, where my brother went, and it was to be understood, boy, that's the way to go. And at some point, it was understood by me as well that there was a slow transition where the #1 band was. I'm an honor band. I'm sitting first chair trumpet,
That's him right
and you're our conductor. And you go out of your way to take your time with us. You showed me that, I guess what I thought was a staccato note properly, I wasn't playing it right, and you got to shorten it up. Come on, Tim, you got to shorten it up. And from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate you. From the bottom of my heart, I know how much you dedicate and how much time you give to those kids and all the parents, and that's why everyone loves you. So you enjoy your time, sir. You earned it, and we hope to see you soon.
Mr. Centeni?
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Broussard.
I just want to wish you well. You know, Scotty, I keep up with your career through other sources, and I'm real familiar about all the work you do. And when we leave from here tonight, I want you to ask that person, what did I tell them about you and your career from here on in? And I think once you start your other job, you'll come back to this one. You know what I mean? Good luck to you, and you know, I enjoyed reading and talking about your success. You had a hell of a career, did a lot of good things. You taught a lot of students, and I know the dead slack I am would thank you for all of you are taking the time to do. So good luck to you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Mr. Centeni?
Mr. Walker, would you do us the honor and come to the podium, please, and give us the reflections on 25 years at 27 years, however many it was, at 3000 West Congress Street.
As I've said before, people are not used to seeing me from this direction. They're used to seeing me from this direction. So I'm not as comfortable facing you this way. But Mr. Centani, members of the board, I stand before you humbled and in awe that you would consider naming the auditorium after me. I'm a product of the Lafayette Parish school system, graduating from Lafayette High School, 1983. It was my greatest desire to teach in Lafayette Parish. It's a great place to be. When I first started teaching, I attended a clinic with someone who said, that stuck with me my entire career. He said, find a place and build your kingdom. Everything was in place at Lafayette High School to achieve success. Supportive administrators, parents, hardworking students, tremendous teaching at the middle schools. All I had to do was surround myself with the best possible instructors known to mankind, and we were able to achieve some very successful things. I'm so grateful to be a small part of the long history that is the Mighty Lion Band, where the tradition continues, and I thank every one of you.
Item 3.2, discussion or action concerning the designation of Lafayette High School baseball field at Neyland Park as, help me with the,
Sam Tully.
Tim Tully.
Mr. President, I move that the board approves designating the Lafayette High School baseball field at Neyland Park as Sam Tully Field.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Members of the board? Madam Secretary, I'm sorry. Justin?
I just want to say, much to Lafayette High's chagrin, we got two legends retiring this after this school year. Coach Tully has been, and Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, you've never been shy before. You've been in Lafayette High for 37 years, 38 years, 10 years before that in Jefferson Parish. He's been coaching baseball in the state of Louisiana for nearly half a century. Again, the number of students that you've impacted, the values of hard work and competition and sportsmanship that you've given to these boys over the years is it's invaluable, Coach. And so for that, I thank you very much for your contributions to the Lafayette Parish school system, to the students at Lafayette High. And I'm, on a personal note, grateful that my oldest daughter got to have Coach Tully as a health teacher this year. So thank you, Coach. I really do appreciate everything.
If there are no other comments, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote, and I ask that you vote on your screen. I'm sorry. Dr. Jussel?
Coach, if you don't mind, Coach, I end up missing you, Coach. I'm set to go to Lafayette High for the gifted program, and one day of football practice, my mom told me I couldn't attend because when football practice ended for my 8th grade into my 9th grade year, we got done at 4:30, and the activity bus got me home at 6:15. And it was a different time back then. You got on one bus, and that bus dropped you back. And she said you can't be on that bus for an hour 45 minutes. And it was the best that we could do at the time. So I ended up missing you. But dear God, thanks to Alex Hilliard, who we helped train, I got to be around you, and you're one amazing coach. Like, it's just when you realize the little subtle tidbits that a person can teach you, things that you never knew before. Oh, that's the proper way? Oh, that's where I should put my foot? Oh, I'm sliding my foot across this base wrong? Oh, I'm engaging the double play in the wrong direction? It's just amazing, Coach. So we appreciate you, and we love you, Coach. Thanks.
If there's no other comments, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Coach, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Look, he'll tell you no. At the very least, we're going to make you take a picture.
Thank you for this great honor. It's very humbling. I always wanted to get back to Lafayette High. It took me 10 years to get back because there were no jobs in 1974 when I graduated from USL. And once I got there and Mr. Zarang hired me as the baseball coach, I knew I was home. That's where I wanted to be, and that's where I spent the next 38 years. And I could not have done or accomplished near any of the things that we did without the great players and the great parents that we had supporting us. I always told people, no offense, Scotty, but we had the best booster club on campus. We weren't quite as big, but our parents always worked their butts off. And I had to thank them, and I have to thank all the assistants that helped me over the years. I couldn't have done it without them. I had some great assistant coaches, and it was a great joy. I have some great memories, and like I said, I wouldn't have changed anything. Thank you all very much. This is a great honor. It's very humbling, and I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that field gets built correctly.
All right, 3.4 is discussion or action concerning the recommendation of the voluntary benefits and the administrative services provider.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that the board appoints a voluntary benefits administrator to serve as broker of the record effective January 1st, 2024. Yes, we have chosen Dwight Andrus as the board. The committee chose EBI. So oh. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dwight Andrews as our next broker.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to appoint Dwight Andrus as the representative. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second? Discussion, any discussion from members of the audience? Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Starling. I am the owner and the president of Educational Benefits, your current voluntary benefits provider. And we have been your voluntary benefits provider for the last 4.5 years. First, I want to say is, regardless of what happens, it has been a privilege and an honor to work with y'all, period. End of story. We have thoroughly enjoyed working with your employees, with your staff, and I can't say anything but glorious things about them. I would like to say a little bit of history, and I know I'm very limited on time, so I'm going to try to run through this. The history is that we actually I have been here for over 9 years trying to get the benefits. Back in 2014, we tried to become the benefits broker, but it was First Financial, and the board chose to continue because at that point in time, there was no reason they had not done anything to move. That changed. In 2018, First Financial was terminated as your broker for customer service reasons and other reasons that the board had, and we were chosen as the benefits broker. At that point in time, customer service was critical. Employee benefits, pricing, products, everything, customer service, benefit admin platform, administration with payroll and eligibility. but customer service being tantamount to everything. Since that point in time, we have provided excellent service. Nobody in any of the meetings said anything about any issues with customer service, with technology, with benefits, with payroll, with anything. In fact, to go ahead and state it a little further, don't count on what I say. Let's count on what the employee said. Because in the employee satisfaction survey in 2019, after we enrolled the group, after being appointed as the broker, after 3 weeks, we actually enrolled the group, built the benefit admin system, enrolled the group. 35 of our employees work on the school district every year. And so we did this and we enrolled it, and at the end of 2019 we did a survey, and 3,408 employees said that we were great or good. Great was roughly 94%. We had a 99.58% satisfaction. And then in 2022 we did another survey, and that came back at 99.85% satisfaction survey with roughly 2,400 employees responding. So what are the employees telling you? That we're doing a great job and we're taking care of your employees. We service this account perfectly, but don't take my word for it again. Look at the administrative team. And the responses to the RFP, they ranked us a 10 in every category out of 10. 1 to 10, 10 in every category. They said, what would you change? One of the questions was, what would you change with your current broker? Nothing. They exceed all of our expectations. The administrative staff, Trish, stood up and said there is no reason to leave. There is no reason for us to move. They feed to payroll. They do everything we've ever asked. They've exceeded all of our expectations. The insurance committee, before the insurance committee voted overwhelmingly in our favor, they actually had 2 principals that stood up and said, what a wonderful job that we've done for your employees. We take care of employees. We only do K through 12 school districts. We represent over 200 school districts, over 70,000 lives. This is not something we're just getting into. This is what we do. We take care of employees. And who pays for voluntary benefits? Employees do. Who has claims on voluntary benefits? Employees do. Who needs somebody to take care of those employees? We take care of those employees. That's what we do. This is not a board involvement. This is an employee involvement. And when the employees say overwhelmingly that you need to stay with educational benefits because they've done everything perfectly, why would you leave? Why would you go anywhere else? Why would you go with a broker? It's not Dwight Andrus. It was Hub that actually applied for the RFP, if I remember correctly. But the thought about it is this. Is it Hub? Hub's based in Chicago, Illinois. No. They bought Dwight Andrus in March. So we brought Dwight Andrus so we can say we're local. But they aren't even using Dwight Andrus or Hub to do their enrollments. They're using a hired gun. They're using a Laro based out of Deerfield, Illinois, to do your enrollments. So all that being said, the one thing I want to know is, who's actually doing this? I own this company. We do everything for you with one company because this is what we focus on. I ask you, do not ignore your employees. Your employees and your administrative team have told you emphatically they want educational benefits to do the voluntary benefits that they pay for and that they utilize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sure. Let's try to hold our comments to a couple of minutes, please.
You got it.
Especially we have a lot of
Off-topic,
people
real
that may
quick,
want to
Mr.
comment.
Walker, you're a true treasure for our area. Thank you. Coach Kelly, you may not remember me. I'm Charlie Babineau from New Iberia, Louisiana, and live here in Lafayette. My wife's Emily Foreman Babineau. You have done a wonderful job, not only with baseball players, but creating men. And good, solid men for this community, and I appreciate you. So, good evening. My name is Charlie Babineau, Chief Sales Officer of Dwight Andrus Insurance, based right here in Lafayette, Louisiana, in a division of Hub International. We're here today to ask the full board for your support as a recipient of the unanimous vote of the Board Insurance Committee. You may ask, how did our group generate the Board Insurance Committee's unanimous vote? It's based on the merits of our presentation last Wednesday evening. It was based on superior technology and technological experts that have a successful history with the Lafayette Parish school system, Taken into consideration was our depth here in Lafayette Parish. As an employer of roughly 110 employees, 110 that live right here in Lafayette Parish, that work right here in Lafayette Parish, I'll say it again. As an employer to parents of kids in your school system, as an employer of future talented graduates of your school system. We're also the high score on the RFP of the two organizations that you're considering today. We are here to reset the expectations. With all the above, we humbly ask that you all support our efforts in providing superior products, technology, and service to those you represent. Keep the business local. In closing, I'd also like to thank ABI. They're good competitors. This is twice in 1 week that they've come all the way down from Little Rock, Arkansas with their whole team, and that's a lot of travel. We appreciate you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any questions or any other comments for members of the public? Members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary will call for, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. None? Madam Secretary will call for the vote. Which one was that? 2.4.
Six for, two against.
All right, motion carries. Item 3.5, discussion or action concerning the recommendation of, concerning the potential sale or lease of approximately 6 acres of land to the Lafayette Parish Council and/or the Lafayette Parish Public Library Board. Dr. Chesso?
Motion to approve that the board authorizes the board president or his designee and the superintendent to negotiate an agreement with the Lafayette Parish Council and/or the Lafayette Parish Public Library Board of Control to sell or lease approximately 6 acres of land located at 2905 Louisiana Avenue, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Second.
Second by Justin Centini. Questions or comments from members of the audience on the motion? Members of the board? Yes, sir.
So, it's not a secret that there's been a lot of discussion when it comes to where is the Northeast new Lafayette Parish Public Library going to go, and apparently between the council, parish council, and the public library board, they've had issues with where to find land. Is the land available? That land is too much, as well as possible leases, 25-year lease, 50-year lease. We don't want to put a $10 million library on a possible 50-year lease or a 25-year lease, whereas that person can change their mind and then we're stuck. I got a phone call about, how long ago would you say you gave me a phone call? Maybe about a week ago? No, but you called me maybe about a month or so ago with a, Justin Stanley rang my phone. I guess he's driving down Louisiana Avenue. He says, hey, you got some land we can help the public library out with? I said, I wish I did. And he says, no, you do. Because thanks to the board, we purchased close to 40 acres, 37.7 to be exact, for us to potentially build maybe a state-of-the-art pre-K, a multi-sports complex, possible new school. And it's impossible to find land on that side of town. And we got a huge plot of it. When he mentioned that, I said, man, that's a great idea. How much you think they would need? Not sure. Justin made a few phone calls. He looked up some information himself. So I got to commend the gentleman again. I said, people are going to think I work for you, because I got to be honest. I can take credit for it, but the credit is due to him that I think we've been able to now solve. Hopefully it all goes great, these negotiations, but we've been able to solve this quandary, this issue of land for the public library. And I can't thank you enough, because that idea has now turned into this agenda item, which will turn into another discussion, which will turn into hopefully negotiations. That'll turn into an agreement, and either we'll donate it, we'll lease it, or we'll sell it. And this will solve it. This land is located between Moss Street and Louisiana Avenue. It's a huge piece of land, and it at least will start construction on that land that will eventually lead to what I personally hope is a multi-sports complex, because it's so needed. That will drive economic boom on my side of town, and maybe I won't have to drive so far to make it to a Chili's, because I got to drive really far, or a Smoothie King, or a Wingstop, and it's needed on our side of town. Businesses are closing left and right, and for them to do what I know they'll do, that'll start the infrastructure needed, and you're gonna make a great tax assessor, boss man.
Yes, sir, Mr. Centenny.
Yeah, just to fill in the details there, this was the product of a chance conversation between myself and Councilman Carlson. There seemed to be enough interest on the parish council side and the library side to warrant coming to you with this agenda item here. So the idea would be that next month, hopefully, or August, we would have another agenda item with an actual agreement for you to consider. But I thought it was appropriate to come to you at this time and make sure that we had at least authority to go and negotiate in good faith. And maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe they have a different plot of land that they like better, and that's fine. All I'm really concerned about is making sure that the library is not held up with looking for land when we have some available. So hopefully next month will be an agreement for you, but hopefully very, very soon, regardless of what happens, that a library will get built.
Any other comments? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
And I'm pretty sure we can't donate it. Just to be clear.
I think it's a good, it makes a good impression on two public entities working together for the benefit of everybody in Lafayette Parish. And I know that those citizens over there have been looking for a plot of land in that specific area for many years. They even have, what, $800,000 or so that the council had already approved for the construction of the building? And that's been years ago. Good.
They are ready to go, and hopefully they can start building if we can work out this agreement. And I'll also take a Gus's fried chicken, or I'll take any restaurants on my. It's a great thing, and it's sorely needed on our side of town.
Listen, if you can't find those smoothies and the chicken, you can come to Karen Grove. We have that. Ms. LeBou?
Mr. Angel, I also want to thank these two gentlemen on the end, because of them we were able to find federal funding for a pre-K facility. So I know he mentioned that we wanted to do a state-of-the-art pre-K facility. We are getting one. And so, and that allows us to free up more dollars to do more. So I just want to again thank y'all for that ability. So it's not that we're taking away from the opportunity to do that. We actually are still going to do that and more, and possibly help kids access free educational materials at the library as well. I know as a parent, I took my kid to the library countless times, and it was such a great opportunity. So I'm thankful to all those people that are looking for all those opportunities to incorporate us into. Thank you.
Did everybody vote?
8 for, none against.
Motion carries. 3.6, I think it's discussion or action concerning resolution 6-23-2069, creation of the Southside School District of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana. Dr. Aguilar?
Yes. Mr. President, I move that the board adopt resolution 06023-2069, creation of Southside School District of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, as attached in the public content section of this agenda item.
Second.
Motion in the second. Any discussion, members of the audience? Yes, sir.
Good evening, board members. Look, we're excited to be here. I'm Eric David. I'm the Football Booster Club president, and we're excited to be here to have this on the agenda. It's been 7 years since the school, or 7 football seasons, and this is the first time that we've gotten this far, that we've gotten to the point where we can put this on the agenda and actually talk about it. So we're excited to be here. I think in the past, I don't think this board is questioning whether Southside would need a stadium. I think it's the funding. And we're, as a group, we're proposing a solution. So we're asking in return to give us a shot, to give us a chance. Let us self-fund the construction of a stadium. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christy Bouillon, and I am speaking to you as a member of our community, most importantly as a parent and a volunteer with the Southside High School Band Program. I too am the booster president for our program, and I have seen and experienced the struggles our school and program have had by not having a stadium on our school's property, not having a home field, the need to have students bus to both home and away football games, incurring additional costs, travel time, liability instances for students, directors, coaches, buses, the school board, and parents. Travel for all games means that our equipment, for all of our equipment needs, has to be loaded up on trailers each week to and from. That means more wear and tear on our trailers, more wear and tear on our equipment, musical and otherwise, as well as also having to find parents to help pull those trailers and incurring the cost of those items. The students, they're not able to create those traditions that will carry on for generations. Not having Friday night lights at your home field. Thursday night lights, kind of as the kids say, hits a little different. One of the best experiences as a band student that they will have is marching to and from the stadium to perform for their family, their friends, and their community. The latter can also be said for any students playing a sport at that community, in that stadium, whether it's football, soccer, track, the cheer team, dance, and color guard. These memories are students that will have forever, and currently they're having to remember those items in a field down the street across Highway 90 in another parish. From a financial standpoint, having a stadium means that the band program will have the opportunity to sell concessions, which is something we don't have the opportunity for now. And it's my understanding that if you have a home stadium, you sell concessions, that helps to fund your travel for your away games so the whole program can travel and support the players in the school. Additionally, from a local business standpoint, our community, they're huge supporters of our school. And they are missing out on an opportunity for patrons of our football games, for home games, to purchase gas or food, or stopping at a local shop to purchase some, shark gear. So in closing, I would like to say the Oxford Languages defines home as the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or household. The students and faculty at Southside High School are truly a family. And while they have a school for learning, a home needs a place of respite, and a home stadium would allow for this. I ask for you to vote yes to allow the creation of the school district, that we can get a proposition to start a self-funding for our program, and so that our students will have the same opportunity as their peers do in Lafayette Parish to experience that home stadium experience. So thank you very much.
Matt Romero, citizen and councilman in Youngsville. First, board president, board members, I want to thank y'all for having this on the agenda, giving us the opportunity to talk. And for several of you up here about 7 or so years ago, just talking about a school. And then a year later, talking about what it'd be named, the mascot, the colors, the processes y'all went through, mostly positive, I would say. It's much appreciated. I think there's an opportunity, like they said, there's an opportunity ahead of all of us and you all to complete a project, to be in the same realm as the North Sides, the Karen Crows, the Lafayette High, Como, Acadiana, to be able to have that local flair on Friday nights, on Saturdays, Wednesday and Thursdays for freshmen and JV, to keep that tax revenue locally, which not only goes to the local economy, but also goes to the parish and you guys, or your funding. I know someone involved in government, you've received the resolution. The local leaders in Youngsville fully support this, to put the opportunity and to move up the timeline, essentially. We know that you are heavily burdened with multiple projects, and that's probably speaking very lightly of what you have ahead of you. I definitely obviously encourage you to, hopefully you've strongly considered this. I know it's a two-step process to move it forward to the ballot. But again, it's going to allow not just the high school kids, the high school parents, but local businesses, the middle school kids who are going to that, much like my two that are going to be there in a couple years, to be able to stay locally, have that opportunity that when we go to other stadiums across the parish, to have that there in our backyard. And y'all talked about commerce earlier. This is only going to increase the commerce, a lot of the property that you own around this school. Maybe opportunity there as well, similar to what you're doing with the library, which is phenomenal. Again, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity. Youngsville does have probably the largest growth in the parish. Broussard's close, Scott's coming up close, but we are planning, we are redoing roads, we are taking control of that destination, much like you are looking at other avenues and zoning and not. But I think this is a great move. I think this will complete that project that a lot of you started over 7 years ago, and I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
All right. Any comments from members of the council? Mrs. Blatchley?
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Aguilar, I'm going to support you on this, but I want to send a message to District 5. I do not support taxes. I will not support a tax in District 5. This does not affect District 5. This is allowing the community to vote amongst themselves to do something in their own district. So I'm going to support you, Dr. Aguilar. But I do wish I could sit down with some of you and give you the history of athletics in Lafayette Parish and let you realize that it just wasn't dropped on every school. Some of what we have took 20, 30, 40, 50 years to get. There was a time Carencro, Como, and Acadiana had to travel to practice for track. We just got all-weather tracks a few years ago. It took this board to do that. So baseball teams, track, softball, so forth and so on, have kind of sort of gone through what Southside has gone to. It just didn't fall out of the sky all of a sudden. And we're finally making progress in this parish. Because we were 30, 40 years behind for your existing schools. So I can appreciate it. I have no problem voting to allow you to move forward with what you want to do. But I will say one thing. If Southside would have been built in my district, it'd have had a football stadium from the get-go. It'd have had it. I probably wouldn't have built 2 competition gyms, which Acadiana doesn't have and others don't have. I would have probably built 1 in a football facility and baseball and softball. But it wasn't built in my district, and back then I was told to be quiet, stay in my place, and that's what I did. So I wish you well on this. I really do. We had a plan. We were working on a plan. Dr. Aguilar, Southside Stadium is on our list of things to do in the future. But I'm going to give you my support tonight. I don't think I've ever voted against the Youngsville area. And you got it, Dr. Aguilar.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. LeBou.
No, go ahead and go.
Again, I'm not also in favor of voting for taxes. I have no problem with giving the district the opportunity to vote for their own tax and have them tax themselves. However, we just sat through the first long-range planning meeting, and based on the information provided by the demographer. My problem is I don't know what that district looks like. I don't know what that zoning looks like for that school in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Based on the numbers we've gotten and the growth that will happen in that area, my fear is that we may be asking someone to pay for a stadium or put themselves to vote for a stadium that their child will never get to attend that school. And that is my fear. And so I feel like since we've only had one long-range planning meeting under our belts, and as the new chairman, I want to endeavor to really determine what does the future look like before we ask somebody to vote to put a tax on themselves for a school that their child potentially will not be attending. And so I know that's a harsh reality none of us want to look at, but the growth and the concentration in that area leaves me concerned with the fact that we may be asking someone to take on a responsibility that, or an obligation that they won't get the benefit of. So I'm not saying no in the future. I want to, obviously we voted to put it on the list and I want to support it. I'm just not sure this funding in the way that we can do it. I'm not comfortable with doing it now because I don't know who that voter is and I don't know who that payer is at this point. Thank you.
Doc?
Board members, thank you. First of all, the discussion about a stadium for Southside High School has been discussed now for some 7 years. And the reality is that I think the citizens of Youngsville are asking for a stadium to be built pending voter approval sooner rather than later. That here's an opportunity for the Youngsville community to support a proposition. And by the way, this proposition that will likely be on the July agenda would be potentially a property tax that would have a duration of 5 years. And at that time, that tax would drop off voter rolls, and the community would have a stadium that would serve it well for the next 75 years. So this tax is a single-minded proposition to generate revenue to build a football stadium with an accompanying all-weather track system, an astroturfed field, and any of the other things included in a stadium complex: concession stands, bathrooms, parking lots. The good news is that this proposition would be on the November 18th ballot. And if the voters say yes, we would likely see construction begin on the new stadium by mid-2024. It would happen quickly. And I'm asking you to give this community, the Youngsville community, an opportunity to generate the funds to provide for a stadium, because they really, really do need this for themselves to be whole. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Centeni.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Dr. Aguilar. It's always, I know how hard you've worked in trying to be responsive to the needs of your district. And I want to commend all the Southside supporters that are here tonight. I can tell how much work went into this proposal. I know this is not, I'm sure this was probably eye-opening for several of you, that government is not easy. There's a lot of red tape and a lot of putting the lines on the ground is not easy. So I appreciate all the work and effort that brought us here tonight. In a lot of ways, this reminds me of the conversations about rebuilding Lafayette High School 7 years ago now. There wasn't a single person in Lafayette Parish that would say Lafayette High School does not need to be rebuilt. The only disagreement came about was how to pay for it. That was it, right? And I think that's the same here tonight. Absolutely no one is here saying Southside High School doesn't need a stadium. We absolutely do. I believe the vote was unanimous in January to put it on our future projects list that gets funded as we put away recurring revenue every year. You know, the 3 schools under construction now are being funded. That's how that list started. This year, we put an additional $1 million recurring into the next group of projects on that list. And we will, as long as the future board, this board won't get another chance, but the future boards continue to put away that recurring revenue, those projects on that list will get built. That is how it's structured. That's all the board has to do is put that money away. And so it's my personal feeling about property taxes in particular that they hit our senior citizens very hard, especially our senior citizens who are on fixed incomes. They have their property assessments frozen, but not when new taxes get levied. I think Ms. LeBou's point about the attendance zone is a good one. And look, there was no way to overcome that. You know, I'm not suggesting that there was some fix to that or some solution that you could have come up with to address that. That's just the nature of a special taxing district, that you can't move the lines once you set it in place. And so in the future, it's going to be very difficult to convince someone that, yeah, we know you're paying that tax, but you can't go to school there. Sorry. You know, that's certainly unfair. So I wish you luck. I genuinely wish you luck. I respect your passion. Thank you for following the process and doing all the work that brought you here tonight. But I have to vote no on this.
Yes. Mayor?
Yes, I would love to see Southside High with a stadium. Of course, I was on the board when we built Southside High, which is such an exciting time. But I feel, like Mrs. Santani said, I like prioritizing and planning. We are in the process of planning. It's not to say that you're not going to have a stadium, maybe just not now. A lot of the projects we have been doing over the years, we had to plan for it. So that, like Ms. LeBou said, you're paying taxes for a school you may not attend, because we're growing on the south side, growing leaps and bounds. We're growing on the west side in Scott. Several subdivisions. We don't know how we have to divide that area. I think we just need to give ourselves more time for planning and to see exactly where everything lies and then make the decision. And again, I want to see Southside High with a stadium. It's nothing like having your own stadium. But I don't think now is the right time. I think we just need more time to plan, set aside funds where we can maybe not having to ask, we may not have to ask anyone for a tax if we plan appropriately. Thank you.
Dr. Chasson?
So let's see. So Southside High School was built, and at the time it was built, I remember folks from the community as well as elected officials they came and said, we'll make sure that tax passes. We got you. We'll make sure that tax passes. We'll make sure it passes. And I know they had the greatest intentions, but guys, our tax for everyone failed horribly. It failed horribly. So we took general fund money and we built Southside High School, and the tax there failed horribly. And then I find it a little odd now that, hey, the tax failed for everybody, but if you let just us tax us, we'll get it passed. I find that a little hypocritical, but at the same time, I also know how hard Dr. Aguilar has worked on this. Now, I told him I didn't mind doing this, and he told me not to. He actually asked me not to. I'm still doing it anyway. That man worked so hard to try and get Southside High School's stadium taken care of. And yeah, I'm running for state representative. Not the smartest thing to do at this current time, but I think I've read every single comment on SOS. I've read every single comment. I was bored. I clicked every one. I clicked every share. I clicked every comment. Some of you, and hopefully it's not anyone here, has been so mean to that gentleman, I think it might have encouraged him not to run for this upcoming election cycle. That man busts his butt every day trying to get that stadium built. Timmy, what about this? Timmy, what about that? He's called us all. Has Dr. Aguilar not called us all, guys, and lobbied us? But at the same time, every time it comes up, I got to read off to Doc. But Doc, we've got some wings at this school, and I've got some additions at this school, and I've got a cafeteria at Alice Boucher, and I've got a library here, and I've got schools in general that need to be built. So it's upsetting to know that he's gotten talked about and demeaned, and people in the comments are saying, oh, man, well, we got to get him out of there. Who else is going to run? We got to get somebody to run. And that ain't fair to him because he busts his butt for y'all. And hopefully it's not you guys here. If you made the comments, you know who you are. That's not right. It's not cool at all. All right? I can take it. I'm used to getting talked about. It's not a problem. I know I'm doing the right thing. My mama loves me. I'm good. Be nice to the guy. He works hard. I appreciate you, Mr. Latchley. He works hard for you guys. He managed to call me and get me to say, yes, I'm going to vote for this. Doesn't sound like I'm going to vote yes on it, but I'm voting yes. See, because I said no for the longest time because I thought it very hypocritical. But at the same time, it makes sense because I personally, along with Leroy Broussard over there.
Elroy.
I know it's Elroy. It's Leroy today. Leroy Broussard, that I did the same thing that Dr. Aguilar is doing. We sat with the same folks for District 3 and District 4 because contrary to popular belief, when that tax came up for everyone, you know where it passed?
That's right.
District 3 and District 4. So I said, wow, man, I can get a brand new Northside and a brand new Alice Boucher and a brand new Barranco and a brand new Moss and brand new, we got Tip. But we chose not to do it. But we're gonna allow Doc the opportunity, and hopefully it passes. Because as much as I tend to think, guys, like I'm being honest, I tend to think there are some people in here. I see a couple of them that they really want it to pass. But then you know what they tell me privately? It's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. They're not voting for that out there. I hope it does pass because I know how bad I want the stadium to be built in the first place, like we've tried to figure it out, but they've got a lot of projects in front of these other ones. So hopefully it does pass, and if it does, guys, then it actually will take $15 to $20 million off of the books that we're gonna allocate to the project as is, if it doesn't pass, and it'll free up that $15, $20 million to start something else. So it actually does help everyone in the school system. So again, be kind to your neighbor, guys. He's been busting his butt for you guys. And somebody in the comments needs to, you can say, oh, that Chasson thinks he all that, but say something kind about the man because he works so hard for y'all. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Broussard.
Dr. Aguilar, Dr. Chasson told me he was going to say that tonight. Well, that's all right. I'm not going to say what I was going to say about him. I'm going to leave that alone. But I applaud Dr. Aguilar for his efforts, and I applaud the Youngsville community for wanting to work hard to get something that they feel that is very well necessary to have. And you're right, Dr. Chasson, to free up $15, $20 million for us to do something else with it. I'm disappointed that the tax that we proposed did not pass, but that's in the past. And if you feel, the residents of Youngsville feel that that tax proposal is going to pass and get the $15, $16 million that they're looking for to build the state-of-the-art stadium, the track, and all what comes with it, I support it. So go out and do the hard work, pat yourself on the back, make sure it's done, and I'll be there for the ribbon cutting, and wish you well. So thank you, Dr. Aguilar, for your hard work.
Just one quick comment. Back about 30 years ago, in one of my terms of mayor in Karen Crow, we proposed a 1 cent sales tax. 1/3 of it was to be dedicated to the police department, 1/3 for recreation, and 1/3 for the fire department. And we heard the same kind of grumblings as we're hearing now, some for, some against. That's the democratic way. It was over 30 years ago, the tax passed, and we have a great recreation program, great police program, and we just built a $8 million fire station in Carencro. I think it's the third or fourth one that we built from the money generated from that tax. So I wish you all well on your proposal, and we're all rooting for you. At this point, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. Are we on 17 right now?
Five, for, 3 against.
All right, we'll move on to 3.7. My understanding is, Dr. Aguilar, will you read the
Yes,
proposal?
I'd be
That's
happy
all
to.
we have to do is read it. We don't have to
Yes,
vote
sir.
on it.
That's correct. Notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Wednesday, July 19, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. at its regular meeting place, the boardroom of the Administrative Building, 113 Chaplin Drive, Lafayette, Louisiana, the Parish School Board of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling an election to be held in Southside School District of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar. 3.8, right? Discussion or action concerning rezoning. Oh, no.
No, we pulled that one.
Dr. Schasso,
You still want to read it so I can table it?
calling for the election to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds in Southside District.
Oh.
No, wait. North,
We pulled 3.72, right?
concerning rezoning a portion of Carencro High School attendance zone to Northside High School attendance zone.
Motion to table.
Motion and a second to table item 3.8. Any discussion or comments from members of the board? From members of the audience? Members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. No vote on 3.8? No vote on 3.7. Right. Which one? All right. I'm impressed. No.
I think it's good. I think it's good for people to realize that. And I can't touch a tax with a 10-foot pole. I can't touch a tax with a 10-foot pole.
7 for, none against.
Now the work begins, Doc.
Oh, well. Yeah.
All right, the motion carried unanimously. We're gonna move on to 3.25, discussion or action concerning amendment to the fiscal agent contract.
Mr. President, I
Yes,
make
sir.
a motion that the Lafayette Parish School Board approve the amendment to the fiscal agent contract with First Horizon as attached in the public content section of this agenda item.
Second.
Second, Dr. Shetzel?
Yes, sir.
All right, motion and second. Questions or comments from members of the audience on this motion? Comments from members of the board? Yes, ma'am, Mr. LeBouf.
Thank you, President Angel. I will have to abstain from this vote as my husband is an employee at First Horizon Bank.
Mr. Centini?
As usual, I will also abstain from this vote as I am an employee of this bank.
All right. Any other comments or questions? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. Vote on your screen.
Six for, none against.
Hey, really quickly, guys, before we leave, I want to say thank you to our staff for graduation. In particular, we're sitting at a table in the Cajun Dome, and Mr. Centani asked a question to Francis Touchette and Dr. Rabelais, how close were you guys working? And the response I got, which I understand later, was, well, we just finished about 2 minutes ago. So these gentlemen were making sure that kids meet the final requirements about 10 minutes before graduation to certify these children. So I want to thank you for their hard work, but because I knew he understood better what actually occurred.
It's actually one of my favorite things about graduation weekend is to see how many kids come, literally skidding across the finish line. Like they're on the morning of graduation, they are testing and retesting and retesting until they get it. And they don't get to graduate unless they pass.
Right.
But Dr. Rabelais and Mr. Touchette, if y'all ever want to see some people
Working so hard,
running around with stacks of papers and staying up till all hours of the night on graduation weekend, how many this year were not graduates on Thursday, but were graduates
graduated
by
the next day?
Saturday?
How many?
Give me a 60. So think about
60.
that. We graduated 2,000 students this year, and 60 of them were not graduates on the Thursday of graduation weekend. But because of their efforts and the efforts of teachers at each one of our high schools, they got these kids across the stage with a diploma,
That's awesome,
ready to go out
guys.
into the world. So thank you both
Thank y'all
very
so
much.
much, guys. Thank y'all, everybody.
Seriously, find them on graduation weekend and ask them. They're hilarious to watch do this.